Let's talk a little bit of the trade deadline because at least for the Tigers, they did do a little bit of something. At least so far. Obviously, the trade deadline is this Thursday, so this is subject to change. But currently, the main move the Tigers did was trade Brewer Hicklin for Cat. No, I'm not going to talk about that one. That was a random. That I don't even. I think I've heard the name Brewer Hicklin, but we're going to move along. The Tigers do trade, however, for Chris Paddock from Minnesota as well as Randy Dobnik. They give up one of their catching prospects. All I need to know about their catching prospect was he was 19 years old in rookie ball. So I do not care. I don't know if I have that Stephen A. Smith that we don't care. I don't think I have that. Do I have that? Hold on. I do not. I don't think so. Hold on. We're gonna see if I can find it. I don't think I have. I have this. Hey. I just wanted to use that one. I haven't used that one in a while. But yeah, we give up a catcher for basically two depth pitchers. Chris Paddock, I believe, got some starts for Minnesota this year. He's got a decent strikeout rate. That's about it. Like his ERA is like closer to it's like 4.5, something like that. Unfortunately, you lose Reese Olson for the season due to I think it was just shoulder inflammation, which is like, what does that even? How bad was this guy's shoulder that he's just randomly out for the year? But anyway, you lose Reese Olson, and at the same time, you bring in Paddock and Dobnik. Dobnik is basically a nothing. I mean, I think he's probably going to be a minor league depth piece. He pitched for Minnesota in their minor league system. I think he had like a 7 ERA. Now, granted, I remember something similar with like Brant Herter and Hannafy and Salmons or whatever some of the other pitchers we picked up at I don't know if it was the trade deadline or if it was just guys that we managed to pick up throughout after the trade deadline. But so it's like, look, you never know. Maybe Scott Harris sees something in Dobnik or in Paddock that is, perfect for Chris Fetter, and the Twins just weren't utilizing either of those guys correctly. We'll see. I really don't have a problem with the move. I like the idea of us moving off of a catcher prospect who's in rookie ball to get someone who can help us now because, look, what's the point of having that 19-year-old catcher who's not going to be here until 2030, basically, especially when you already have Dylan Dingler, who, despite the strikeout in this, or not the strikeout, the pop out there with the runner in scoring position, has been really good for you. And you got Tyron Lorenzo and Briseño is another one of these guys. You have a bit of a logjam at catcher, so I'm fine with getting rid of a 19-year-old in rookie ball to help boost your pitching staff this year. Now, with that being said, that simply cannot be the only move. And none of the beat writers and none of the rumor mill people, none of them are indicating that is the only move that will be made. But you got 2 more days. You got tomorrow, and then you got, I think the deadline ends at like 5 or 6 o'clock, something like that. That's usually when it ended. I believe that's when it ended last year, maybe 4 o'clock. Either way, you can't have that be your only move. And I doubt that's going to be the case. However, the Tigers, in my mind, given right now they're down 2-0 to the Diamondbacks. Maybe they'll come back, maybe they'll win. That's fine. I just feel a growing desire in my soul to get a hitter. And that hitter's name is Eugenio Suarez. Now, there's one problem. Will Vest decided to go rogue last night, and he hit Eugenio Suarez on I think it was his right hand, or maybe his left. It was one of his hands. Hit him on his finger. Negative X-ray. He's going to be fine. He's not playing tonight, though. We'll see if he ends up playing tomorrow because for Arizona's mind, they might think, well, we might as well not play him if we're taking trade offers. But now it's like, okay, well, how healthy is he? Obviously, the X-rays were negative, but is it like, are they trying to like, oh no, he's totally fine. He's not hurt at all, and then actually he might be a little hurt. I say this. It's a rental guy. He's going to be a free agent next year. They don't have a whole lot of leverage to ask for a bunch because of that. Now we know he might not even, be 100%. He's a former Tiger, so he's already, been here at some point. We traded him away for basically nothing. That was one of the Dave Dombrowski specials. And he would just be the perfect fit. He plays third base. We really don't have a third baseman. He hits for power. While we do have some decent power hitters in Torkelson and even with Greeny, we really don't have that like home run threat guy. Like we don't have that guy that you're like, okay, here we at any given moment, this guy's gonna hit a bomb. And Suarez is that. He's not a high average guy, but he is a high power guy. I mean, there's a reason he's hit that many home runs. It just feels almost too good to be true. Now, the problem is I don't know how much am I willing to give for a 1-year rental guy, especially right now with a team that's kind of struggling and maybe they're not as good as we thought they were. So maybe we want to hold on to some of these younger guys because they might come up and they might be a part of that core that when we really are good enough. But then there's the part of me that says, man, screw all that. I want the guy who hits 30 home runs right now. I don't want to worry about if, I don't know, Jace Young or any of these. I don't care. I want Eugenio Suarez, and I want him now. So, look, I'm never going to fault a team for trying to get better. And I think when you make a trade one way or the other, whether even when you sell, the idea is you're trying to get better in the future. What I don't accept is the do nothing approach, is the, well, we don't want to give out the Steve Yzerman, we don't want to give out term, or we don't want to, we like our guys. Like, if it's one thing if the asking price is basically Max Clark, Kevin McGonigal, and Tarek Skubal, okay, if they're asking for that, they can go to hell. But it takes two to tango. These the Diamondbacks have to be serious about selling. They already sold off Josh Naylor to the Mariners. They are kind of in the midst of a retooling stage for them. And just a few years ago, they were in the World Series, but now they're just kind of circling. They're just circling the drain a little bit. So they need to kind of retool a little bit. And Suarez, I think, is probably only going to cost you like 2, maybe 3 prospect. He's a rental. He's not going to be, we're not, I don't think we'd plan on signing him. So, I don't know. Maybe you give up a Jace Young or obviously you need more than Jace Young. But you know what? Let me pull up the Tigers' top prospect. Because I've probably done this before. Tigers' top prospects. Let's just take a look. Like, okay. So, I'd say pretty much in the top 5, I'm not willing to go there. Not willing to go there for a rental. The only one that maybe I'd be willing to go with will be Bryce Rayner. And the only reason I say that before people get mad is because you already have Kevin McGonigal at shortstop, and he's going to be here in 2, maybe even 1 year, depending on how quickly he goes. And Bryce Rayner is currently in A-ball and won't be here until he's 2028. So, look, Rayner might be a fine player. I guess in my mind, if you already have your shortstop, you don't need a billion shortstops, so to speak. Again, not necessarily a reason to move him, but here's what it is. Obviously Troy Melton, he just had a great night yesterday. Maybe you throw him. I'm not saying you should, because you actually really do need pitching. And if Troy Melton is legit, then maybe you hold on to him. Maybe it's a Hao Yu Lee, a guy who's going to be ready pretty soon. But you get your third baseman right now, and I guess you worry about the future for that position. I'm not sure if they will be willing to go there. Maybe it's Max, because Max Anderson might be one of those guys instead of Hao Yu Lee. I'm just going down the list here. I was gonna say Ty Madden. I don't think they want Ty Madden, but maybe you throw him in. Maybe they feel like they can fix him. Dylan Smith. I didn't even think he was in our top prospect. That's crazy. Either way, like there's like these trades. I don't think you're gonna see, Kevin McGonigal, Max Clark, and Josue Briseño for Eugenio Suarez. If you do, then those guys must have something wrong with them. Basically, like there's no way that you would be willing to part with those three guys, and you shouldn't part with those three guys. That's stupid. But can you part with a Max Anderson? Can you part with maybe a Franyurba Montilla or an Owen Hall, a Jaden Ham? Wonder if he's got a friend or a friend or a buddy named Jaden Bacon, Jaden Pork. Sorry, I just wanted to make a joke. I thought that was funny. But yeah, look, Eugenio Suarez is the guy. Am I gonna freak out if they don't get him? No. Will I be very upset? Yes, especially if another team gets him for like 2 prospects. If another team gets him for 2 prospects and they're not even in their top 10, I'm gonna scream. That will be very upsetting. But if they give up, if another team gives up their number 3 and number 5 prospect, I'll be like, all right, you know what? I'm not doing that because our prospects are worth way more. And so if they wanted that some other team's top 5 prospects, because I don't know, they just wanted a top 5 prospect, then take them. But our prospects are going to be probably much better, just given our farm system ranking. So the Tigers are, I think, in prime position to be buyers. And I think getting some more relief help. David Bednar was another one of these guys the Tigers could be looking out to grab. David Bednar and Eugenio Suarez. That would be Mike's dream. If I come back to you next Tuesday or on Thursday night for the Lions Hall of Fame game, and I have David Bednar, Eugenio Suarez, and maybe some random relief arm that costs like 1 prospect, I will be a happy man. I will be let me see. I will be like Jason Tatum.
We did it!
That will be me. That will be on Saturday. On Thursday, I'll just be yelling like Jason Tatum. Hey, YouTube, if you like clips like that, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. We've got live shows every Tuesday night. Hope to see you there.